Yo, what's going on, everybody? Sorry for the delay. I got the talking with my kid, my oldest, about some stuff that's going on. My friend who came by and we were talking. So my bad, y'all. My bad. We were supposed to start like, oh, about a grip ago. What up, Gil? What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Yeah, we were supposed to start like 34 minutes ago. My bad. My bad. Oh, I actually, I'm not going to say I did drop the ball on that one. Okay. So, my bad. First and foremost, welcome to the Melanated Council. You know, we here, we live in full effect. We got some stuff going on. Typically, we stream every other Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or wherever else you're at in the world. That's where you catch us. Always like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and just enjoy the show. So we're not going to prolong this as much as we would love to, but how is this the dark age of democracy? Well, Lash Money, I am glad that you said it, because that's what we're going to talk about. Like, is this going to be the dark age of democracy or not? Are we heading into the right direction or not? Because, right, let's find out, Lash. And even then, I look at it like this: regardless of the outcome of the election, this is my point of view. Okay, my point of view. Irregardless of how the election was going to go, it was either going to go extreme right or extreme left. That's really it. Bottom line, either extreme right or extreme left. It was going to swing one way far or the other way far, not necessarily in the middle. Hey, Faye, good to see you. Good to see you. So let me bring on my other host with the mostest, because we're going to try to get into this thing. And again, typically, like I said, typically we stream on Tuesdays. Oh, good to see you, Rocky. I was in your neck of the woods last week, but good to see you. Good to see you. So, let me bring on my dear friend, Mathematically Impossible. Faye, I can understand your point. I can definitely understand your point. I got you. And again, there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. There's a lot. There's a lot that we're going to unpack tonight and everything else. But like I said, I got to bring in my homegirl. I got to bring my homegirl on to help me out, because again, I can't dive in too much, because again, I can't dive in too much because, again, there's a lot to unpack. And again, like I said, from my point of view, it was going to go extreme right or extreme left, depending upon who won. Irregardless of who won the election, it was going to go one way or another. It was, because if we think about a lot of the, we'll just put it like this. Let's look at the policies just in general. Okay, let's look at the policies, and that would kind of tell most people how we're going to go, or where we would like to go. And again, I'm just that weird, crazy person. Yeah, no, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And again, it's like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. But I got to bring this person on. I have to, okay? I have to. Before I do anything else, before I answer any more comments, questions, yada yada yada, I got to bring in Faye. Faye. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Because Faye, you finna get me started on something totally different. So I'm going to bring in um, another portion of the Melanated Council, and she is whoop whoop. Hit subscribe, everyone. Yes, please do hit subscribe, everyone. So this next person bring to this stage or bring to the virtual roundtable, she's a dear friend of mine, very good friend of mine, best friend, and she likes to keep things as funky as possible, as real as possible, but also as fun, joking, as lighthearted as possible. Because I mean, she did stand-up comedy. She's a very good improviser, if I do say so myself, and just quick with it. And you guys are gonna love her. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, allow me to introduce to some, to present to others, the one, the only, the lovable L.
Hey!
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, how's everyone going? Why is our boxes so like square?
Oh, don't worry. I was playing around with some stuff.
Oh, okay.
I got it to this. There you go. You want it?
Um, eh, yeah, if we can make it wider.
Wider? I
That
got you. Hold on. Let
oh,
me. Mhm.
taxes on the boxes.
Taxes on the boxes. There we go.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, because I've been having, I don't know, StreamYard's just been weird for like the past like month, 2 months. And like
Yeah.
with my, well, technically Gil's camera, I'm not gonna just claim this camera. It just doesn't work, and every time I like try it, it works everywhere else.
Mhm.
Hey, hey, Faye, I'm doing. How are you doing today? How's everyone doing today? It's N7 day for those who celebrate Mass Effect. Um, I got rid of my N7 shirt. I don't know how long ago.
Sheesh.
I'd gained a lot of weight, and then I lost the weight, so maybe I should have kept the shirt. But yeah, you win some, you lose some. But yeah, no, it's always good to see everybody. I understand that we're streaming on a Thursday. Tuesday was the election, and I didn't want to be one of those, watch live, stream live people. That's just me. All right, congrats. Congrats on becoming a US citizen. Ingrid de la Rosa.
Nice.
Yeah. Andrew Yang said that Biden has put him on some kind of no contact list. Really?
Oh,
Oh my gosh, I did not
oh,
know that.
oh man. This is gonna be very interesting. I
Mhm.
like this. I like this. This is gonna be very
Thank
interesting.
you. Thank you,
Mhm.
Faye.
Did all the things. I like the
Mhm.
emphasis on all. I love it.
Yes.
Yes,
And did you share? I think that's another thing.
probably doing all the things. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Oh my gosh, my gosh. Like I know again, just coming because of the fact I work in education and whatnot. Um, mhm. Amen to that.
Yay, thank you.
Excuse me. Because of the fact I work in education and like just talking to various different types of people and getting their feedback and listening to them, it does put a lot of things in perspective. And and especially like just thinking about um, just my life in general and how a lot of things have transpired, how a lot of things I've witnessed, I've saw.
Hey, congratulations.
All
Good
right,
on you. Yeah.
nice. And so when when this when this week when this election was coming through, I'm like, man, like I said before, you guys, again, my personal opinion and my views, my outlook and whatnot. Like it's gonna go either this way or this way. And even then, like knowing how close the race was going to be, and and understanding that there was going to be some it was going to be some mess at the end of it all. Again, working education, talking to a bunch of teachers, staff members, they're like, we're just going to see how this is all going to play out. Like, I agree. Oh yeah, Threads is a yes. I was like, I agree. I agree 100% because it's it's one of those things where it's one of those things where we know it's not to be taken lightly, but also at the same time, it's more so what's going to happen to the country now. Giving everything that's been surrounding some of the wins, some of the losses, some of the really those kind of things. Yeah. So, L, I'm gonna let you get your little spill on.
Oh, yeah. I guess to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, there is going to be like a lot of um, people kind of playing armchair politics or trying to figure out like what happened, what went wrong, what went right, what it's like, and like what caused, like why was it voted this way and why was it voted that way and things like that. And it's getting pretty interesting,
Mm-hmm.
if I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's one thing that I will say and I always say, propaganda is one hell of a drug. Yeah, I agree with that too. Like, like the idea and the concept of an illegal person.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, sometimes people frame it as like, okay, so they came here illegally, so they're a criminal. I'm like, I don't know. That is like, I feel like that's like kind of extreme because I feel like, somebody crossing over somewhere in hopes for like a better life equates to, I don't know, somebody like robbing a bank, or punching somebody in the face. It's like, that's not really the same.
Right.
Yeah, the blame is hard to watch. I agree.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And before I say anything else, I'm gonna let you keep on. talking.
Oh no, that was pretty much it.
Okay. Okay.
But thank you.
Because no, you're good um because when you were talking, I was thinking about like a lot of what I've watched, what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've read, as far as news outlets goes, as far as making sure um, not necessarily the context was always right, but maybe trying to get it in the right content might have been a little iffy at times, but I get it. And so, again, just looking over from the last past few nights and just kind of like looking things over, especially talking to my kids and especially my daughter, like talking to her before going to school, and she said something very profound. She was like, and even then tonight she said something profound. She was like, she was like, these next 4 years, I really don't know what's going to happen, but I'm very much worried because there's going to be a lot of laws, there are going to be, or a lot of policies that's going to get put into place. And by the time I graduate high school, I still will not be old enough to vote in the next election. I'll always have to, um, I'll almost have to wait until the next cycle. But even then, by the time the next cycle comes around, it's already going to be too little too late. And she's like, that's a scary thought. Like, I got you. I get you. And even then, tonight, that's when she came back. She said tonight, she's like, yeah, she's like, once the next presidential election happens, she's like, I probably won't be able to participate until, who knows when. Like, yeah, I get you. I get you. And so, she's been very politically active in her um at her young age, very politically active, very much following what's going on, and very much in tune to what's happening around not just the nation but around the world, because she just wants to very much be aware and be prepared for whatever's going to happen next. So, like, and then, whew, hold on, wait a minute now, wait a minute. I wouldn't say that much. I wouldn't say that much because there are some folks who are very much democratic, but they still love God.
Yeah, there's
And
like several reverends.
yeah,
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
Again, just saying.
Reverend Raphael
Just
Warnock.
saying.
Wasn't he
And
up for re-election? Raphael Warnock?
maybe, maybe,
I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
right.
Yeah.
But again, like, just like, and again, watching several different podcasts, watching several different takes, several different views, several different views of pretty much the same thing. And again, understanding when election time comes, yes, it's going to be polarized. Yes, we're going to have people on one side of the fence or the other. Um, but the thing about it is when we have people who get on their various platforms and use a microphone to convey their messages, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's them talking from personal experience or them getting spoon fed what to say. The the audience has to be very careful and have to filter out what's crap and what's not, what's lies, what's truth, what's factual and what's not factual. And if anybody who's been on the show and who's been around, you guys will know 9 times out of 10, me, L, and our other good friend Toby, we're gonna do some research, we're gonna do some digging in, we're gonna do some snooping around. And mm-hmm, agreed. I agree.
Yeah, true.
And so when and I'll go and say this much. I think Kamala, I think she did stuck her foot in her mouth a few times. It's kind of like, yikes, yikes. So yeah, it's a bad. But again, getting off of that, getting off of that, it's just pretty much just coming to terms and actually just having discussions and having open-ended conversations, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. We're all here to have a discussion. And even if we don't and even at the end of the day we don't agree, that's fine. That's totally fine. But at least respect the other person's opinions. And we'll go from there. We will go from there. So want to kind of kick things off because I think
Can I
Faye. Yeah, go ahead.
when you say respect the other person's opinions, is that, I guess it's like, how exactly would you define that?
I'll give you a good example because me and my son, we were talking yesterday, and he was telling me, like, sometimes he feels as though that when he goes to school, that even though, yes, generally he's popular in some instances, not as popular as most, but he gets along with everyone fairly well, and and he feels as though that sometimes he could be a problem and an issue. I'm like, dude, like, let's take a step back and understand this much. Not everybody's gonna like you.
That's
Number
true.
one. Number two, not everybody's gonna agree with you.
Mhm.
And number three, not everybody is going to think the same way as you do. All three of those things are very much fine. And because of that, that's less to worry about, because if we're still stuck on trying to figure out being the most liked, the most respected, and having the most agreeable discussions, like, sooner or later you're going to come across somebody who's not going to like you. They're not going to agree with you. They're not going to respect what you're saying. You're going to have to be okay with that, because if not, you're going to stress yourself out. And so he sat there, he thought about it. He was like, okay. I'm like, so get this now while you're still young, that are you going to have people who are going to like you? Absolutely. Are you going to have people that's going to dislike you? Absolutely. Are you going to have people who are going to respect your opinions? Absolutely. Are you going to have people who will not respect your opinions? Absolutely. But at the same time, understand this much. They may not agree with you on every single thing. That's fine. You may have some who may agree with you on every single thing. That again,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. But as long as you're able to walk away gaining some kind of new information, some kind of new knowledge that's going to help you out in the long run, that's still a solid win. And so when we're talking about respecting other people's opinions, that same thought process is still true. You may not have to agree with everything that's being said, but at least respect the person enough to the point where, like, I hear what you're saying, I get it, but at the same time, I'm just going to respectfully disagree with you and keep it moving because there's no point in getting stressed out over something you can't control. There is none. There is none. You can't control another person. You can't control another person's opinions. You might be able to sway it a little bit, but at the same time, it's still that person's opinions. And they may not even agree with you. They're like, nah, I think you're full of baloney. Okay, cool. And I think you're full of trash. My opinion, your opinion. Because at the end of the day, the last time I checked, we all got buttholes, so we all got opinions. It just depends upon what comes out of it. We'll leave that alone for another time.
Okay. But I know that you were saying something before I cut you off, like something Pay It Forward said.
Hmm.
Also, I've been seeing that like people, the average American reads at like a 6th grade level. I think Rocky said 8th grade.
Hmm.
I always thought it was 3rd grade. I know that like some YouTubers when they're suggesting how to like speak to people like on
Mhm.
YouTube or like I guess even create, like thumbnails and things like that.
Mhm.
I've heard them suggest like, all right, have ChatGPT write this up and have them put it into like a 3rd grade reading level or maybe it's 5th grade. I was thinking, I don't know, one of just something less than 6th grade. So it's
Mhm.
kind of interesting that people are receiving a lot of information. I would say like a lot of high level information kind of, with a lack of a better phrasing, kind of dumbed down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just I, I don't know. I don't really know how to like convey it. Like what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying like everything needs to like it's good for things to be conveyed at, you know, something that a lot of people on like a wide spectrum can understand. Like, for sure. Like but it's like I don't know. I guess I'm just like a little bit I don't know. I guess it could be like a I guess since like people understand things at like such a like a middle school, almost elementary school level, that means like it's very easy to kind of manipulate their way of thinking if that's the level that they can understand, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm. What are your thoughts on public politics being this public discussion? Do y'all think it should be private? Um, you mean like in like public spaces like for example, yesterday I went to go get my hair done, you know, since nobody complimented on it. Like I got it done, jeez. Uh, I think it looks nice. um, hey, good morning,
Good morning.
uh, Polar Nights, I believe,
Mhm.
from Norway. Yeah, right. Yeah, so like yesterday at the hairdresser, I see a black hairdresser, but like, she works with like, in the whole salon, there's like, people of like different races and things like that. And like I was overhearing somebody, um, I was overhearing like, some people talking about it, and it was like kind of confusing. Yes, the hairdresser is still alive. Because I was at the hairdresser. Not at the hairdresser. And like, I don't know. I guess it just like depends on like I guess it's annoying when like you're a very informed person and then you hear them talking about like gas prices and the economy and like being an informed person that the president always gets blamed for the price no matter what and it's like they don't control that. So it's just like, like frustrated. Like even if like no matter like who would have been in office, I'd have been like, here we go. Someone clearly doesn't know what they're talking about. But then again, it's like it's because that people are my 10-year son's cut my hair since he was 6. Like I'm here for. Right? That's great. Like because people are like misinformed or trying to learn things from like a 6th grade reading level or comprehension level. Well, I mean, I guess like the reading level versus comprehension levels is a little bit different. Thank Yeah, thank you, Tor. I'm gonna keep this comment up longer because y'all messed up. But yeah, like is there a difference between like reading level versus comprehension level? And like what is a 6th grade reading level? There used to be a show, Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? And granted, like, it's like science classes, questions from, stuff people haven't heard in like 30 years. So, you know, people don't really talk about like the rock cycle, in everyday life or anything. But I guess it's just one of those things that's like, how are people comprehending and understanding things? Did I freeze by any chance? Can people hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Because you were like a statue, Ron. So I was like, oh crap.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. I just had I had my mic muted and whatnot, and just laughing at the comments and all the good stuff, and you talking about your hair looks nice, whatnot.
Yes.
You gonna just do what you do best. But yeah, no. It's good. You're saying some good stuff, so you're good. You're good.
Okay. Because I have like something that have like really bad signals, so I was just like, oh no, Ron is a statue. So apologies if I sounded like really all over the place. I was like, I don't think I'm live right now.
No, you're good.
But yeah, I guess it's just trying to understand like the difference between comprehension and understanding. And I mean, I know that sounds like synonymous, but you can read words but then not really understand what you're reading. Like this happens to me like all the time. So it's like you could probably hear words and it's just like, yeah, this person's saying words and I understand these words. Like if I were to say the name like Eric Charleston, you know the name Eric and you know the last name Charleston, and it's like, that person that does sound familiar. Who? It's like, no, I just made that name up. But you're trying to like follow along and you're like, yeah, Eric Charleston, of course. And it's like, no, that's not a real person. And if you are a real person. I apologize. I just don't know you.
Well,
I'm sure there's an Eric Charles. Is he Asian? But if his name was like, if his first name was Charleston, maybe, or Charleston, maybe.
I don't know. He could be from the UK.
That's a Haitian Charleston, really?
That's a oh, okay. That man is bringing receipts. I like it, Gil. I like it. I like it. No.
This is funny.
But Son is being weird, but whatever. I'm gonna let him do him. Okay, I can't read that. But,
What?
So, because I know you were talking about like reading and comprehension levels and whatnot. Yes. Gil, Tori, if you're talking about Gil, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's the reason why he looks good. Yes, he is Haitian. Absolutely.
You know, Caribbean people, you know, not to brag, but we are the most gorgeous people on the planet.
I'm just, I'm gonna be like, I mean, again, just the little stint that we were in the Dominican Republic. Yes, there he goes. Yep, y'all see him? Y'all see him? Y'all see him?
No, we can't see it. Is this your friend?
No, it's It's my oldest. It's Jeremiah.
Oh, hey. He looks just like you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dominican.
Yes. We was in the Dominican Republic and like talking about beautiful people. Yes. Gorgeous. Absolutely. Like, you know, I could get myself in trouble, so I'm not gonna even want to do that.
I don't think you do.
I don't. Well, you know, no, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think so. But I do know me and the missus, we were talking about doing like ancestry just to kind of see where we're at. And I've been telling her for years, I think she has roots from Puerto Rico or somewhere down in the Caribbean. Like, I mean that. I love you too. You're welcome. So I told her like up and down, like the first time I met her, I thought she was from Puerto Rico, or at least that was my son.
He's messing with you.
I know he's messing, but yes. But real talk though, like there has been people who said because we look so alike that we do pass as siblings. I'm like, yes. So, but circling back, like I told her like I swear like you probably do have some roots down in Puerto Rico or somewhere in the Caribbean because it shows. And she's like, "Oh, I don't think so." I'm like, "No, I'm being like dead honest, like for real." And so she's talking to her grandpa, talking to her grandma, and on her grandpa on her mother's side, he was like, "No, like you probably do pull some roots from someone way back down the line who probably did come from the Caribbean. You know, maybe Puerto Rico. You never know. You never know." And so she was like, "Really?" Yeah, because even there, like her grandfather lives in Puerto Rico. Lives in, not Puerto Rico. Her grandfather lives in the Dominican Republic as of right now.
Mhm.
And like, you know, when you look at him, and especially when he starts speaking Spanish, you would think he grew up there, but no, like he was a vet. I mean, yeah, that's my cousin. My cousin fourth removed. Like somehow, some way, he just decided to crash at my place. I guess I was a cool enough relative, but you know, hey, shout out to the DR. Let's go.
Faye, what are you saying in every language? Like I'm like low key afraid to highlight it. It's like I know it's like Faye wouldn't be saying anything crazy, but I'm like, I don't know what she's saying.
Yeah, it,
I'm gonna highlight the one in French.
I was saying it looks like French.
Yeah,
Right.
this is French, yeah.
Okay.
C'est bon parler beaucoup de langues. Je me sens vieux et là ces jours-là. I am terrible in French, but I can recognize it. Someone translate it. We are all related one way or another. One human race. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Because like first thing you wrote was like, like it was in like Chinese lettering and I was like, I don't like what? I was like, I can't decipher this like at all.
Mm-mm.
And I felt kind of bad. I was like, oh, this is probably like something I should recognize. This is probably like something like commonly
Yeah.
shown everywhere. It's like, damn it, I don't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it's so bad. It is
It's,
so bad. Like that's
yeah.
one of the things where like, because Jamaicans we speak English. Yeah, we have like Jamaican patois, but it's like it's like a broken English, it's like a dialect, and
Mm-mm.
yeah, there's like there's words that I understand that you may not understand. They could probably speak fast and I can understand, and you may not be able to understand the type stuff. But it's like it's not it's not like French. It's not even like Haitian Creole. It's not like Deutsch. Stressing from trying to move all day. I mean, what do you got going on with all the paperwork? It is 9 or 8 o'clock where you are. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess finishing up the night. English is hard to learn. I do not know why that is the most spoken language on the planet. It's like that should not have been the case. Like of all the languages, they picked like, oh, you're doing you're doing great. I'm like, yeah, no, English is. Like, it is.
Yeah.
It's always funny. Like, well, not. It's always fun whenever like someone who clearly like English wasn't like their first language, and they're speaking, conversing. Well, that's good. And they will say something that kind of sounds like it's like you understand what they're trying to say, but it's like a little bit off. Like one of my good friends, she's from Colombia, and like one time she was saying like she was in a bad mood. She was feeling like sad, depressed, and she said, "I feel black today," and she meant I feel dark. So It just seemed kind of, it was like,
Okay,
yeah. I'm like,
I
it's like,
get it.
I was like, how do you feel black today?
Like, please tell us more.
Yeah.
Like, but like, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy Spanish. I do. I
Mm,
enjoy Spanish. I like the language. I love the language. As far as trying to speak it and hold a conversation, absolutely not.
yeah.
Absolutely not.
I was actually in Massachusetts last week for a work thing. And I was taking lifts, and I got into the lift of this one Haitian man. His name was Jean Leon, and you know, you always have to like say the person's name when you're going into the lift and all that, and match like the license plates and whatnot to make sure you're not just getting in the car of somebody. And yeah, the guy. So I said Jean Leon, and he couldn't really speak English, and he was and he was like trying to speak to me, and I was like, "Oh, I don't understand." So he told me that he spoke four languages. He thought I may have been Haitian because I pronounced his name correctly, and I was like, "No, I have a lot of Haitian friends." And so to me, it's like this is clearly a Haitian man that's going to be picking me up, and so but he told me that he spoke like Spanish, Portuguese, French, and like Haitian Creole, and I was like, I speak little Spanish. I was like,
Mhm.
yo hablo, yo hablo un poquito español, and so we're trying to like converse in Spanish, and it's like, oh, this is great. I haven't, even though I have a lot of Spanish speaking friends, it's I would love to speak Spanish, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
at least like more often. So I'm like trying to like speak to him, and he's asking like, questions, and I'm trying to understand, and then he's also saying things that I'm just not understanding. And I go, ah, gracias. And so like long story short, he's like clearly trying to hit on me, and I'm like, well, this is scary now. I'm like, oh, I don't mind like speaking to like Uber and Lyft drivers, but now it's like he's hitting on me, and I was like, okay, now it becomes something else because I don't like we can't communicate with each other, and he is like trying to say things. So I'm just like, even though like he was saying very basic things that I could understand, I just kept saying no comprende, no comprende, no comprende, just so he could just be like, hell no, I'm not gonna say si papi, no, no, yeah, maybe it's like si gracias. But even still, like, who knows what he could be, even though I would probably be understanding what he was asking me, I would be like, "No, gracias." Like, a lot yeah, he asked for, like, my number, and I was like, "No, gracias," and I was like, yo tengo un novio," and he was like, "Do you want a friend?" I'm like, "No," of course, in Spanish, and so it was, um yeah, like, so but it was just, like it was just hard. With it. What my terrible Spanish. That I keep telling me okay, what are these?
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
Sometimes I see memes like my Spanish friends post, and they do the and like they'll have like the ja 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 ja, and I'm like, I want to understand. I want to laugh with y'all. Some of them I can understand, and it's funny when like I react to them on IG, and they're like, "What? You understand?" I was like, "This was the most basic Spanish." I was like, "Yes, I can understand it." Oh man. But yeah, like Spanish is something I like desperately want to learn, and like it's like, yeah, this is something like I should know. Like the amount of Spanish I took in middle school and high school, and then it's sad. It's like you just don't really use it. The most Spanish I would do would be like reading the instructions on like a frozen pizza box and how to like, warm up the pizza. I read the Spanish instructions. And then when I went to school in Tallahassee, they didn't sell pizza boxes with Spanish on the back. And I was really upset because I was like, I don't know how to read this now. I don't know how to warm up this pizza. It's not in Spanish. So they only had it in English. And I'm like, well, what are the Spanish people going to do? And me when we need the Spanish instructions.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. And I always say, I know for me, I took Spanish in high school twice. I took Spanish 1, Spanish 2, and then when I went to college, I took a Spanish course, and I actually still have my Spanish book with me from college that I look at just to kind of get my brain adjusted to looking at the language. And so when I go to work and whatnot, like I have a lot of Spanish speaking families that come, and I'm like, I really should learn how to speak Spanish because a lot of times our EL teacher who speaks fluent Spanish, she's not always there. And they're like, do you speak Spanish? I'm like, yes, I want to, but I can't because my brain and my mouth doesn't compute the same way. And as an individual, it sucks. And I'm like, no, sorry. Like my Spanish is very, very limited, very limited. They're like, oh, okay, bye, bye. I'm like, I really should take up learning Spanish all over again, and hopefully it will stick. So that's where I'm at. That's where I am at.
Okay, that's what's up, Bill. Oh my goodness. You're person in the background. Kind of scared me.
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Oh, hey.
This is my daughter. Yes.
Oh. Hey.
Yeah. No, and
It's like an NPC was in the background. Oh, sorry. You didn't know T-Pain was from Tallahassee until like a year ago? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's what the T stands for. It's Tallahassee Pain. Yeah. I walked
yeah.
the same grounds that T-Pain did for 4
There you
years. Go Knowles. But speaking of Spanish and multi-languages, next person I'm going to bring on doesn't need to say anything to get your girl. They already understand his language. They all speak it. And without further ado, you may not be able to see him, but your girl will. Let me bring on the one, the only Toby, if he's ready.
I'm dead. Um, yeah, y'all lucky that. Yeah, it was either I was gonna be in my office, which is where I came from. When I've not done a stream in my office at my current job, I did that a lot at my last job during COVID, especially. Um, and thankfully, we don't have to do that much. But yeah, I had to come in the office today, very short notice. And yeah, that was not fun. I mean, it wasn't crazy, but it was just like, why are we doing this? So I'm happy to see you all. I tried listening a little bit while I could, while multitasking. Um, I mean, technically, I have my camera. It's just I'm not in a physical location where I could sit down, um, kind of on the streets, as I was trying to bounce between this and a tech-related event that didn't really get to fully experience, but I got to see a few people.
Oh, so you're in like your native environment, your natural environment, the streets.
The streets, yes, the streets. I'm back. I've been away a little bit, um, relatively, but I'm back. Um, yeah, I, yes, basically today, yesterday, I didn't really feel like going out. I know, like the topics we kind of, um, it's a little bit different than I think what y'all are talking about right now, but with everything going on with the election, honestly, I just kind of was more introspective about things, but I was like, I don't really feel like going to this mixer that I would have gone to yesterday, like a government, professional, military, professional mixer would have also required me to get to. It was like at 6 p.m. and I was not getting to DC or Arlington, Virginia at 6, unless I went to my office earlier, and I had no desire to do that after being so tired from being up so late Tuesday night, and then also just like figuring like what is life right now. So I kind of was looking forward to that mixer for like over a month too, but I was like, I was even wondering, I was like, do I even want to go to this? And I just came back from Boston, so that's the longer story. I went to Philly. Sorry, I did go to Philly, but I didn't have any time. Chad, if you're watching this, it was a very short trip. If it was a longer, proper trip, I would have actually tried to plan something out. But I was in Philly for like barely a day. Then I drove to Boston, which was kind of a lot. I mean, going there was fine. Coming back was a lot. And then it's like no sleep coming in on Tuesday, and then didn't get much sleep Wednesday. And I was like, do I even want to go to this event? Probably not. So today was honestly, I would not have been here today if not for having to come in the office and then seeing this tech event literally at 7 o'clock when it started, which I didn't make, but I still sort of drove here. I probably left my office like, I don't know, this is like 9:30. Drove and got to where I am now almost around 10. I think that's when I first messaged. I was telling people in the back, like, hey, by the way, I'm driving and I'm going to be in transit. I would have actually not minded coming on, but it would have not been very useful. Like, no one would be able to hear what I was saying. And even now it's kind of loud, but I'm doing my best. But been trying to track a little bit of what's been happening in terms of the conversation. Oh my God. It smells terrible.
What are your thoughts on the democracy?
What the hell?
What are your thoughts on the election and all that?
I mean, in terms of democracy, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of like what's going to be put in place, a restructuring of the government, consolidating of things, possibly, you know, things being made harder. I mean, a lot of voting stuff is more state level, but you never know what kind of shenanigans are going to happen federally. For like, let's say the next elections in the midterms, or better yet, the presidential in 2028 when Trump is out of office, and like, are there going to be chicanery and shenanigans going on with the transition? So I mean, that's obviously down the line, but I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I'm kind of just resigned to things. And I think actually one thing I saw when I was coming on was something about blame. And like people talking about blame, and I think Gil said the blame was sad to see. I think I came on right around then, so I think Gil was like the blame was sad to see. So I didn't get the whole context of what was being talked about, and I get like there's a lot of sensitivity around things. I do hope there is a reckoning, though. That's all I can say. A very real reckoning with things. I think Ron used something about like she might like something about her putting her foot. I mean, I think that wasn't like the main point of what you're saying, but you kind of alluded to like she said some things that may have put her foot in her mouth. And I think there, people might try to dissect her and her campaign, but I'll say a lot of the issues that happened well before she was running, and she had like 100 days. I know that you're not like blaming her for everything. I know that's not what you're saying, but I know I've seen the takes that will, and I'm like, bro, she had like 100 days to do this, which is completely the fault of. I mean, because I try not to, go too in, I feel like a lot of people want to sort of mourn and figure out Resistance 2.0. But, I think there are some things that, could have happened differently. Like if this process happened way earlier before the Biden debate. I mean, Biden had debated Trump in like August or September. Like it would have been too late because the nominee would have been picked. So it's just like, a lot should have happened earlier to have acknowledged that, hey, maybe we should have a different nominee, which is not unpopular. Like 75% of Dems thought Biden shouldn't run again, so it's not a fringe position to think that maybe we should do some vetting. But I think because of the midterms, the 2022 midterms, people were more willing to give him another go because of how good they performed. But if it was a bloodbath and it was a red wave, I think Biden would have had no choice but to resign. Or not resign, but to step aside. But because it wasn't a red wave, it turned out to like him trying to still run, and then that just led to what happened. And if not for that, I mean, there's no guarantee someone, my argument isn't even that she couldn't have won. It's just that she should have been able to have gone through like a more formal process to actually have like a sort of primary situation. And I know some people don't agree with that because it's not normal for the incumbent president to do primaries, but I think we were in pretty extenuating circumstances that it might have just been good for the party to have done something like that. But, there's a lot of factors, and I don't know what the one thing is. I think it'll take some time to tease apart all this stuff. I think the war in Gaza is obviously a huge thing, but I don't think it would have affected as much as maybe people. I don't know. That one's hard. It's hard to give any one thing, and everyone's an armchair analyst, like you said, Al. Everyone's an armchair analyst. So who really knows? Like even me, just sort of pontificating. I don't know. Like what would have happened if you had the counterfactual of like what would have happened if you could have had things differently, and then compare that parallel universe with this one. Who knows? So I mean, it's unfortunate, I would say, and I thought there was a chance for sure he could win, but I didn't think it was going to be like that decisive to the point of the popular vote. That's where I'm like, yeah, there's some real soul search. Like what Ying said, like in 2016, that was like 5-alarm fire when Trump won. But like that craziness of Trump winning is honestly nothing compared to, I would say, now, given that you have his record. You have like a lot of stuff he's already done instead, and you also well, I think you can't even claim that like you can't even say that at least Clinton won the popular vote. Like there's a lot more I think to unpack with this one, and so it's gonna take a while. And I think I've already seen people trying to like I've already seen like it's only been like 2 days, but like there's been some interesting things going around. People trying to blame Biden, and then Biden people being defensive, and I think David Plouffe, whoever it was, like the Obama campaign manager, made some kind of remark about how Biden should have stepped aside sooner, or this was his fault. And I guess he got like ratioed and piled on to the point that he had to delete his Twitter account. Like the freaking campaign manager of Obama. I can't remember if it was 2008 or 12, but like I think we're in a place where it's a little sensitive to like criticize. And I think even Elizabeth Warren said we shouldn't point fingers, but some people are like, no, this isn't the time to do all this because right now Dems are not good shape. So there's not much worse that can happen by like hashing it out. Like the worst time to do it would be in 2028 or 2026 when you want to be more united for the midterms or general and midterms respectively. So if people are going to do blaming and hashing things out, this is literally the time. But I'm not a democratic strategist, and I'll let the people do what they want. I'm just still like following things and just trying to like look at trends and the data and what that kind of thing is kind of interesting to go through, but it also, I don't know. No cycle is the same. So people can take what they want from this data, from the vibe, but will it match with the next 4 years? Who knows? I just feel like it's harder to sort of like put blame in one area, given that it was such a widespread, let's say, victory. Like it was pretty much every demographic, every county that went towards Trump. So it wasn't even like, this case was because of blah, blah. I mean, by the numbers, sure, you could say white women, white men voted mostly, but I feel like there's just a wider sort of thing to deal with. So that's like, so I think I was saying, like, if Yang said like it was a 5-alarm fire, I mean, this is like a nuclear disaster, like something like there's a lot more kind of to go through and figure out. And there's of course there's a lot of dark forces, as we saw in like the MSG rally and some other stuff, but I just personally don't buy that it's just like literally everyone was like, I feel like there was a lot more, especially a lot of first-time voters, so people who never voted for him twice before. So I feel like there's a different dynamic where it's not just like the diehards that somehow like converted more. I don't know, like it's hard to say. It's just like Trump was never really that popular. I'm actually very surprised that he's got that large of a margin because he's always had a ceiling. So it's kind of, I guess we'll see how people react. This is kind of the end of my long rant, but we'll see how people react to like what he actually does and if it's actually that popular or if he'll have to like pay the price when he tries to do some of his more extreme relatively, but like, when he tries to do some of his more bold agenda items, maybe they're not that popular. Maybe this was just like a repudiation of Dems because at the end of the day, there was a lot of just negatives with, I mean, not even, I think there was a lot of good things that came out of Biden's administration, especially when it comes to like some of the more antitrust, labor, environmental stuff. But I think just inflation is what it is. And that's why I'm like, even if it was someone else, even if it wasn't Kamala, even if she had more time, I think you're still working against fundamentals, which is just very difficult. It's very, very difficult to work against fundamentals and try to win. It's not impossible, but it's hard. So I don't know. I'm just saying a lot of things, but
now it's the time and space to share, to say the things.
Yeah, I think like I've been a little bit more detached. Like I haven't like I know I've seen people really posting about how they feel upset, hurt, kind of like emotional. I mean, I think I was like annoyed because I was like, now we're gonna see freaking like incessant bragging and like annoyance from just like the Trump camp. However, I didn't necessarily feel like the existential dread, and more just like, wow, this is what we're doing. But I just kind of like, all right, that's that, and I guess I'll just see how things play out, and maybe we'll have, maybe there will be something that can. The way I heard someone put it was just like you want a kind of left response to like when it came to like the financial crisis and a lot of things that were the failures of our system. And so you kind of had the left-wing version with Occupy Wall Street, the right-wing version I don't know what it was right away. Tea Party, I don't even know. But Trumpism came later, and it's like if you don't have like a proper left wing grassroots type of populist force, then you end up ends up being the Trumpism version that wins. And it's not like you can't. I mean, Biden did win, but like that was very extraneous circumstances. I'm pretty convinced that if not for COVID, Biden probably wouldn't have won. He may have came close, just because of enough people who didn't want Trump to get reelected. But the point is that like I think you need something more, something deeper. You know, I mean, this is not my soapbox for like Yang would have won or even Bernie, but like I think that you do need something that's a little bit less married to the corporate bank system. Like you need something that's more, you know, I mean, for better or for worse. Like Kamala's career, I mean, she's definitely done things that were pretty good for the people. I think she like helped people in the aftermath of the financial crisis, sued some corporations and banks that were not doing the right thing, but
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
still kind of attached. You're still attached, I think, to being seen as like, you know, Wall Street. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this might not even be the reason, but I do think that if you can kind of have someone who is like, quote unquote, for the common man, I think the only person that Kamala wants is like people who make over 100,000, as well as people with advanced degrees. And I'm like, that's cool. You know, I'm not going to put myself out there for my salary, but let's say that I at least feel reflected in both categories. But, you know, if most people aren't, then it's kind of tough to win elections. You can't really win with, I mean, I don't know. FDR, let's just say that he had a very different, you know, he was able to win a lot with like the support of just like everyone else. Like, I don't know, I think about it sometimes, and I think if Biden hadn't been hit with some of the things he was hit with, he could have had a better legacy. And I think a lot of that's not his fault, but politics are what they are. Now I'm probably gonna be done.
I did want to touch on what Rocky said. Yeah, he could vote in this election in Florida. Like, even though a lot of former felons can't if they still owe court fees. But he was able to vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, literally nobody, like, no one can really say. First of all, Dick Cheney was the worst VP. That's flat out true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no one can beat Dick Cheney. Vance might, but Dick Cheney was flat out the worst VP. Also, most VPs don't really like do much. There's a line from the show Scandal where one of the characters was explaining what the VP does. It was like, be loyal to the president and don't die. That's it. That's all you do. You're just loyal to the president and you don't die. Like, for when people say like, oh, she didn't do anything as VP, is like, name one thing that a VP did. Like, nobody can. It's just, I don't know. That's just an annoying talking point. It's just something to say.
Yeah. No, and even then, like, I know.
Yeah, sorry. No, this freaking sucks. This freaking sucks, yo. I am so hurt by this. Of Lena Khan leaving. Like, she was like this young, incredible FTC chair that, like, I'm like surprised that was appointed, because like every like major corporation and like billionaire like did not like her, because like from both sides, any side of the aisle, they did not like her.
Yeah,
I agree to pay it forward here too. But yeah, like I am like Yeah, Rocky just reminded me of that, like, because like her last day, I think was like in September, and it was just like, or October or something. I don't know. But like we're kind of hoping like, okay, are we gonna rehire her? Because like everybody likes her, like like the common person, the common folk like her because she's like really freaking good. And no, I really hope like she stays in her field and in politics because it's like she is so necessary. Like she's just so good at her job, or maybe she like teaches. Maybe she becomes like a professor, for like economics and things like that. Or yeah, but no, she was just absolutely incredible, and I am very sad like she is going away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is worst DP behavior right
Yep.
there.
Example
Also
number
for
one.
like
Where's VP?
also for everything that he's
Yeah, I forgot
done,
about that.
like with pretty much the whole like Iraq war. I think so. Iraq or around one of them, or Afghanistan. I don't know, but like definitely, with the oil, because like yeah, no, like he, like like of course I wasn't old enough to vote for Al Gore in the 2000 election, but we would I feel like we would just been in so much better shape if like I just feel like especially as a Floridian, it just hurts because yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about the track. If a few things like that, if Al Gore had won, if yeah, oh,
Yeah.
or that's a whole thing. Yeah, the FTC, we'll see what's going on with that. Same thing with the labor board. Pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something to kind of watch, like especially from like the more quote unquote inside. I mean, not that I know Republican insiders, but people who might know more, who like at least if there's any populist energy, who are like, because I think JD Vance said something about liking Lena Khan, so it's like, oh, look at that, you actually had him somehow. I mean, granted, I don't think he committed to like, oh yeah, she's gonna be the next administration, but he was saying some things that were like, yeah, she's doing a good job, or yeah, this is the right thing. So I'm like, well, that's at least something, but there's no guarantee that she would be retained, right? I mean, Trump isn't the type of person I think to retain people. Biden retained Jerome Powell, and Biden retained, or at least he was willing to sort of cross over. But I mean, I don't know. Would he want to retain? I just don't see it. And Vance is not the president. Not that I want him to be president, but like, if there are any like populist leanings that could be positive, I mean, I don't think Trump is going to be serious about trying to like go in those directions, because he's more focused on like, oh, the immigration, and oh, some of these other things. Like, are we going to see anything with antitrust or any? I mean, you have Elon Musk backing him. I mean, of course, you have some billionaires backing Kamala too, but like, which
Yeah.
actually was a little bit of a thing. Like, Mark Cuban was kind of not pro Lena Khan, and that was a bit of a problem because he was a surrogate. So, but it's not the same, right? Because he wasn't personally bankrolling her campaign the way Elon Musk was at one point for Trump. So it's like, what influence is that going to bring? You know, is that going to mean, because he's not pro labor at all. So I don't know. I just feel like there's worse forces advising Trump than I think any maybe populists, which are not usually most economic populists. I don't know. They're not really. That's not really the focus of why Republicans are winning. Not really. So it can be a dream though that maybe someone will help convince Lena Khan to stay, or maybe some kind of labor action to continue. But if you have a labor board that's just like doesn't really believe that unions should exist, then that's a wrap. But I don't want to put too negative things out in the universe. It's going to be a very different government structure. That's all, and it's going to be very strange, I think. But I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of things that could have happened when Trump was first elected that didn't, which was for the best. But then there was also a lot of nonsense that still happened anyway. So. I think they have all been rigged because you have to figure out tricks used by. Well, so is this all? Let's pay. I think Al Gore did win. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole thing was like I had to learn that retroactively what was going on with Florida, and like I forgot when I first learned about Bush v. Gore, but it would have been like well after Obama was out. I mean, I feel like I had heard it referenced before, but it wasn't until I really started politically getting more involved, sometime probably after Obama left office, when I even started to understand what that was. And yeah, the more I hear about it, the more that it's like, yeah, that did seem pretty rigged, because there was like weird, even outside of the whole hanging Chad nonsense, whatever, there was another thing where like, I guess people would sometimes accidentally make a mark on a ballot, but then they would like mark the person they wanted to vote, but then they would accidentally also mark something else. But it happened in a way where you knew that who they probably wanted to vote for, but then a lot of those were discounted. I forgot what the name of that thing was, but those happened to be mostly black votes. I just learned that like a few months ago, that mostly black people, not most black people, but the incorrect votes that had happened, whatever this thing is, where they marked it wrong, disproportionately were like black. And it's just like, so there's a lot of shenanigans, I think, with Bush v. Gore, and I can agree, Rocky, that probably was rigged in a sense. And yeah. So, and you can of course look at 2016, 2020 to a lesser. 2020 was not as bad. If you want to look at things there, I try not to go too back there. I didn't even end up voting in the 2016 primary anyway, because it was just I was in a pretty useless state for that. But I kind of sympathize with, people who felt that things were too heavy-handed in that primary. And then, that's why I'm just like, what's going to happen in 2028? And that's a long time from now anyway. So it's not my main focus, but it is interesting to see what's going to happen, because you just need more trust in the system too, more faith in the system. I want to look at turnout numbers, because I'm not sure how I don't know what turnout was like, if there was a lot lower turnout and that was a problem, or
for
what.
this election.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was lower voter turnout. So apparently for 2020, and like, because it was like, COVID and everything, they were sending out a lot of mail-in ballots. So a lot of people didn't really have to leave their house to vote or go very far to vote. So that's why there was such a larger voter turnout compared to 2016 and 2024. It's easier to compare, of course this is all new, so to compare things, it's still pretty fresh. So like understanding like data and polling it's going to take a long time to understand things, but like it's easier to compare 2016 and 2024. Not because, it was Trump versus women, it was because of just the amount of turnout. Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton got roughly the same amount of people. Donald Trump got like a little bit more than Harris this time. And of course, he lost the popular vote in 2016. All right, see you. And yeah, voter turnout was much lower this time. And because of that, like about I saw, I don't know, I've been seeing like different numbers, like 8 to 15 million Democrats didn't show up this time, which is more than enough. And Trump lost about 1 million Republican votes, which compared to everything isn't very significant compared to like somewhere between 8 to 15 million. As long as we keep trying to exclude other people from. Absolutely. Patriarchy, colonialism. I was going to say white supremacy. Ooh, a bit tied into colonialism. But so there was a lot less people who came out to vote because as like it's very easy not to do things. So it's very easy not to like go out and vote. It's very easy not to. Oh yeah, you're doing the thing where you're staying when you said goodnight a while ago.
It's just the Irish goodbye, or the
Yeah, it's because Faye's family. It's because you're family. We're family.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and I appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, so like I'll admit it. My asshole brain peaked up a bit. It's what I like to call my depression. And just like a smidge, just like a little smidgen of saying like I kind of don't really want to vote. That little smidge of a thought did pop up. Like it was very mere tiny 1% of a thought. I was just like, no, I have to vote because we have to vote for abortion access, which lost in Florida because we need 60% or more of the vote, and we got 57. So that means majority of the people want it, but it still failed. And that whole 60% thing, I don't know when that was voted on, but apparently to make amendments and stuff or ballot measures pass by 60%, that measure was passed with 57% of the vote as well many years ago. I can't remember when. So it's kind of ironic that people didn't even get to over 60% of the vote to get that passed anyway, which makes no sense. I honestly agree, Rocky. That's my like I agree with that hot take too. Like I do, because like one of my neighbors, she's from Ecuador, and she was saying that like everybody has to vote, and like they use like the whole like you get like a little like receipt or like ticket of some sort after you vote, and you use that for like a lot of things. That's essentially your ID. Like you use it to like get a passport, to like renew your driver's license, to do certain things. You get like it's like used as an ID, the receipt that you voted, because like everybody has to vote. It's like mandated. So like in Australia, I think too, it's mandated for you to vote. Like, I don't know. It's one of, like now that you say it, Rocky, it's like, get like filing your taxes or renewing your driver's license. I kind of see it because I always felt like it was like a very like, Hey Toby, can you mute your mic? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I got away from the screen. I didn't realize that unmuted.
Yeah. Yeah, like because I was always like thinking about that, like how can we possibly make it so that everybody has to vote. It's like, well, I don't know. If there's one thing Americans hate is having to do things, but I don't know. We all file our taxes, so I guess it could it could be something like that. Maybe, yeah. Even though I don't even like, I feel like it should be the opposite. I don't think. Well, yeah, of course you have to file your taxes, but it should be like more automatic compared to like what it is that we do now, which is stupid. But what else is something that like we all have to do essentially? I mean, yeah, like pay bills, but you technically don't have to do that if you like live at your parents'. What's something that we have? Yeah, I guess like filing your taxes is probably the best
Mm.
example. But yeah, because we really could have used those 8 to 15 million votes. But you know, people just either didn't request a mail-in ballot, didn't bother showing up, just didn't know that there was an election because there's still people like that who are just like, oh,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Actually,
Apparently, like, I guess people were finding out Joe Biden dropped out of the race. I thought everybody knew that. Apparently, that was like something that was Googled like after the election. Joe. Apparently, like something similar happened with like Brexit and the EU. You don't want those IRS boys.
right.
Yeah. I mean, and also election day should be like a day off.
Yes.
Like pretty much everywhere except polls should be open.
Yes.
I think.
No, I agree with you.
Of course, there's like, you know, early voting should still be happening. Like, I think 24-hour voting too could definitely be a thing for. I can understand how issues can arise with that, so that may not be the best thing, but maybe I don't know how. I would say like instead of like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., that's what it was, the early voting here where I'm at. It could have been like 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
or like 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Essential jobs should not be included. You mean like law enforcement? I guess I was thinking like, you know, like people who work at Walmart. You know, you just prepare. You know, like how you know, like, oh, Christmas is tomorrow. Nothing's gonna be open, so I gotta like get stuff before then. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, no, there's people who, and especially with, you know, like I was saying earlier, like propaganda is one hell of a drug, and like the algorithms are sure as shit not helping. Oh yeah, healthcare for sure. Yeah. Yeah, like they definitely would have to like stay open, of course. But like that's why early voting should still be happening so they can go and vote. If they're out at sea for a very long time, then somebody needs to send a ship out to give them the ballots, or a helicopter fly out, or whatever it is that they need to do.
Right.
I mean, if people like out fighting, you know, out like in war zones can vote and, you know, mail things, I think we should be able to have at least a day off. Let's include essential workers too. They do half shifts, so there's no shift. Okay. I can get with that. Cast our votes in a bottle. But I would say that's definitely one of my hottest takes. Like I mean, honestly, I shouldn't be afraid of like saying I think everybody should do this thing because like some of y'all voted for the fact that I have to carry a child because you're very worried about the low birth rate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, well, men aren't having sex, women aren't having babies. It's like, well, hey, you can't have babies without sex. B, um, I mean, yeah, you can, but and B, it's like, all right, well, do better, and then they're like, no, we're just gonna force you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Florida's not one of the states where it's like required to like companies are legally required to give you time to go vote. Florida's not one of those states. Texas is, right? Like just throwing that out there. Anybody from Texas?
That's ironic.
Mm-hmm.
That's very ironic. But I did want to make a point. Circling back to like voter turnout. So
No, I know. So it's some of y'all, not any, like the y'alls out in the internet.
right.
Yeah, and that freaking failed in Florida, which is horrendous. So like, it's kind of disgusting that it's like my therapist and I got into like just like a passionate discussion because he's a black man, and he was saying like he was just like incensed that this is something that he had to vote for and vote on because it's like it's like I'm saying what you should do with your body. Like this is you. This is all like I'm saying how you should control it, how you should dictate your body. And some some women are dying as to be expected. And like it's like he's wondering why women like he's wondering why women aren't out protesting like and just like you know just not doing anything every day. And I'm like, it's true. Like he's a therapist, and he says that like it's like honestly like if every single woman just you know just went outside, like took a chair, sat outside and said like I'm done, you know it's like no, it's like go fix it, go fix everything. The man will just be like, no, please come back, please come home, please come home. I can't deal with these kids. I can't. Like please, like whatever, we'll do it. Like he says like, oh yeah, in a week it'll be fixed. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, is that true? Because right now women are gonna go on a sex strike. Like women in the like because Donald Trump was elected, apparently women are gonna go on like no sex, no dating, no marriage, and no having children in like the next 4 years. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. Because in South Korea, that's what they're doing, and like like it's very bad. Like the government is like I don't know. The women just didn't want to deal with the men anymore, so they just stopped. I mean, I might look into it a little bit more, like what exactly happened in South Korea. But like that's kind of insane. Like apparently like there's just not enough kids to teach like a second grade class. I don't know how long this has been going on, but apparently it's like having real effects. What do you mean? It's like, no, but November for sure. What are you talking about, Gil? Hmm. But I do think we should start wrapping up soon.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's getting
Good.
women withholding sex for November, like for like November. You mean?
Hmm.
I don't think that will gain her if the man lives in the jail. Well, Chad's a good-looking man, so I don't blame them. But I mean, yeah. And also, I can't remember what I was gonna say. I don't know. Like, let's just see what happens. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
I will, before we start closing down and signing off, I do want to make this one point, and I think this might be a little interesting. So comparing the the voter turnout from this year from this year's election cycle versus back in 2020, um, a lot more. Uh, 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 uh.
yeah. I mean, supposedly they're gonna be withholding having sex or going on dates and marriage for the next 4 years. Let's see what happens. Because I'm curious. Like, I highly doubt it. Like, some women will probably do that. Some women have already been doing that for a while now. But my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me. But I don't know. Let's see.
Mhm.
Let us see. I don't think it's really gonna gain traction here because one thing the Democratic Party needs to desperately do is to pull back and regroup
Mm.
and try to figure out their messaging and use the force for good. Because, like I
Mhm.
always say, propaganda is one hell of a drug.
Mhm. Mhm. And understand that um, if you don't learn from your past mistakes, you're bound to make those same mistakes, and it's going to cost you dearly. It's going to cost you dearly. And it folks for, oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's also why it's a major problem in these Asian countries as well, because they don't really allow immigrants like easily. So that's, that's like a big issue. So if they're out here trying to, do mass deportations and to limit immigrants from coming into this country or just stop it completely, it's going like the birth rate is going to drop substantially.
Mhm.
I mean, so I remember back in college, and this will be like probably my last point. Mind you, this was like over 10 years ago now at this point. Um, I was learning about the people who work in Immokalee, Florida, the immigrants who work in Immokalee, Florida, picking like citrus and fruits and things like that, and how little they get paid and all and everything. And I remember they were saying, when a white person dies, another white baby is born. It's 1-to-1. When a Hispanic person dies, 9 Hispanic kids are born. So that's 1-to-9. So even back then, they knew that, like, of course, like Hispanic people, that's like, you know, the biggest demographic that is, like, you know, coming up. So, like, apparently after like Obama's absolute like blowout in 2008, the Republican Party had, you know, definitely stepped back and had to regroup and say that they have a problem with Latinos, you know, with the Latin population. And lo and behold, the Latin population, like, they were able to get like a large chunk of that vote. And a large chunk of that vote are in key states. In fact, between Biden and you know, the 2020 election and the 2024 election, Latino men, there was a 35-point increase between Latino men swinging to Trump, because like it was like plus 20 Biden, and then it became plus 12 Trump. So for Latino men, so that's I think it was plus 23 Biden and then plus 12 Trump, something like that. So it was like 35. So it was a 35-point jump. That's massive. They made massive headwind with Latino men. Like, that's insane. Yeah. Yeah. It's to they like to say facts and logic a lot of the times, and they like to use numbers and then try to tell you like the reasoning for things like, oh, the lowering birth rates, that means we got to ban abortion. It's like, no. Usually women who have abortions are usually, you know, already have kids anyway. And yeah, no, it's true. Or it's just like a number that they can, you know, show people and be like, yeah, there's like abortions are like this crazy, and like black women are getting so many abortions, just to try to make, you know, try to pull, I don't know, the 76 black women in total that probably voted for Trump. And that's not the case at all, because a lot of things are classified as abortion, and it's not like what you're picturing what an abortion, you know, what like the reason for an abortion is. Oh, those ladies, you have a problem with that too. Yeah, that's true. And so like trying to like show issues and problems in very simplistic ways. They're saying like, oh, the divorce rate back in the day was low. It's like, yeah, because women didn't have rights, so that's why they're trying to take away women. You know, they might be joking around. I don't know if this is coming up on your news feeds, but it will, or be mindful and, you know, be like, notice it. They're going to be joking around about repealing the 19th Amendment, which was giving women the right to vote. That, you know, that could happen. That, you know, that could happen. And, you know, some people will happily vote for that if it, you know, if they think it's going to make their life better. I mean, I just think it's kind of crazy how, like, you know, it's like do y'all really want a wife in this situation? Because it's like you just want like a person just in the house not happy who's just giving you kids and just like I don't know, like that just like who you can just like beat and mess up. It's like I don't know, it sounds like y'all want a slave.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess that's what a lot of the country wants apparently. And that's just something we have to face. Like the type of propaganda that we see, the type of like things that you kind of hear that kind of gets brushed to the side because forever, and black men, y'all can relate to this, like the things that you hear about women that just gets easily brushed to the side, like we're too emotional, or she's nagging, she's this, she's crazy, and you don't really understand, like, well, why did the woman become crazy? Because the man was like because the man was like out of his mind or treating her like crap, and then he goes on to the next chick and he's like, oh well, my ex-girlfriend was crazy, and then we just sort of like accept that. Another thing is like these things that are so easily just like kind of brushed to the side are actually very real things that we should actually be paying attention to, because women are people, and I don't really want to ever say that sentence ever again. You might we've heard terms like daddy issues. It's like, oh, she's hot, like you want a girl with daddy issues. I'm sure one of your friends have said something like that, or you've at least heard it. You want a girl that's crazy. You want something like that. Like, I mean, if you want a woman that has like daddy issues, it's like because her dad was terrible or not around, and that makes her sexually desirable. I don't know. That sounds like you're seeing her as less than human.
Mm-hmm.
The term homewrecker is usually onto the woman. You hear that a lot in like especially church and religious spaces. Especially when the pastor was caught cheating. It's like no, the other woman wasn't the home wrecker. The man knew he was in a home. The man knew he had a home. He chose to wreck it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the other woman's job to care about your home. It's your home. I mean, none of you care about my home. I mean, of course care. But like it's not necessarily like yeah. But yeah, it's just like the little things that we may kind of brush to the side, the little jokes. And I'm fine with jokes as long as they're funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little things that we just kind of say, start trying to pay attention to them, because like I understand, especially, and I said this earlier, especially y'all as like black folks, there's a lot of things that are said that kind of just get brushed to the side, or they expect us to brush it to the side, but it's like this is kind of messed up. I guess, some people may call it like microaggressions, but like I guess it's a different word. It's more so like micromisogyny. And I know it's like it's going to be annoying to pay attention to this kind of stuff, because it's like, all right, this is just something that we have to care about. Or you might be like, what? I care about it enough. It's like I care about it. I notice these things. It's like, no, you don't, because it's flying right under the radar. And but like to me, I can hear the dog whistle, like hearing it on like certain podcasts, and you know things like that, it's like should I give this a pass? And then you hear it and you see it over and over and over again on certain podcasts, and you're just like, no one's calling them out on it, or is like they just keep brushing it to the side? Because it's getting a little bad. But yeah, well, not just a little bad, that's the understatement. It's getting, I mean, there's apparently Your Body, My Choice was trending on Twitter. That's what I heard. So yeah, we got that. And yeah. So hide your kids, hide your wives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Oh. Goodness. I know we're gonna get ready to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
So, one thing to keep in mind too, like this race, even though yes, about 15 million people who voted for Democrats. I think it was said before who voted Democrat during the 2020 election didn't show up.
Yeah.
Those people didn't show up, but also at the same time, like a lot more white men showed up to vote in this election versus the 2020 election, and especially those that have like some kind of college degree and whatnot. That demographic came out as a big eye opener. Plus, a lot of 18-year-olds. So I think El, you mentioned this too. So a lot of your first time voters, they came out to vote in this election. And the one thing I've heard was, and again, it's just crazy how a lot of this was fun, was that Trump was still very popular amongst everything that's been going on in the news with his trials, with him getting indicted, convicted, all of the good stuff. He was still widely popular. And when we look at those demographics and when we look at everything that has happened, it's like, yeah, a lot could be said. And again, with the next 4 years slowly but surely approaching us, it's going to be a very telltale sign as far as what's going to happen to the country. Henceforth, the question remains, like, is this the dark age of democracy? Knowing that with all the messes that are going on, knowing that with every finger point, jab, misstep, mishap that has gone on in this election cycle, again, are we in the dark? Is this the dark age of democracy? I know another thing I read was with Trump coming back into office, would he add 2 more Supreme Court justices to the bench? And are there going to be some amendments that could actually be rolled back? And I know one of them was, what would you say, Amendment 19? Could
Yeah.
be possible we get axed. Yep. And then there's another one. There's another amendment where it limits presidential term limits. That one is also been talked about at getting axed. And again, it's something that most people are not worried about or talking about because, again, at one of the rallies, Trump did said that if you elect me and if I win, this will be the last election you will have to be a part of. A lot of people, they're not necessarily thinking the ramifications about what he's saying. Is like he's legitimate saying that if he gets elected, there are going to be no more elections held in the United States ever. Period. Is done. And with the mess he already pulled when he was already president, he's back in the seat again. He's able to do that much more and still be able to get away with it. And to my Republican folks, are you truly okay with your nominee? Are you truly okay? Because the most you're talking about is, you want to protect your rights, but are you willing to give up a lot of your fundamental rights as well? Because once those things are gone,
they're
it's a
gone.
wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. There are no coming back. There is no coming back. So
I mean, there is, but it's hard.
It is. But again, with the lack of a backbone the Republican Party has as of right now, who's really going to stand up to Trump and his cronies once everything is all said and done? Don't worry, I'll wait. Don't worry, I'll wait. And like I said before, and I've said this again in plenty of times to plenty of people, both parties are trash. Both parties are trash. It's just, as of right now, again, in my eyesight, the Republican Party as of right now is just the trashiest one. It's just the trashiest one. And a lot of people within the party, they really don't care. Like, all right, I get it. You want to do things however you think it's supposed to go. Okay. Just understand when the dust settles and everything is all cleared up, you're not gonna get a thank you out of me because I'm already seeing it and it's not gonna look good. It's not. It's not.
Yeah. So
yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Yeah. So a fun
Yes, he was.
So a fun game that I've played like several times is called Secret Hitler. And funny enough, like that game taught me a lot about um like how to lie and maneuver and manipulate people into like believing you, because usually so like you get these roles and you figure out if you're like on like the liberal side or the fascist side. And the fascists know who they are, who each other are, and they know who Hitler is, but Hitler doesn't know who the fascists are, I believe. So when you're elected as a like when your role is a fascist, you have to like pretty much lie to all the other liberals on the space to convince them that's like, okay, now that I'm the chancellor, this person becomes I forgot what the term was. It's chancellor and like, I don't know, I'll just say like president's like two positions. And if everybody elects like Hitler as the like president or whatever, then the game is over and like the fascists win. However, if like if the liberals are able to pass like enough liberal policies, then like the liberals win, or if they figure out who Hitler is, then they win or something like that. And it's really interesting because it's like, first of all, because I played this game so many times, like I like being a liberal because I hate lying, but some people enjoy being a fascist because it makes the game fun, and I get it. But like, there's been so many times that I've gotten the fascist card, and you're like a lizard or something on the card. Anyway, but like, so it's like, okay, I have to like convince people and like lies, like, oh no, I picked the fascist. I passed like the fascist law because there's more fascist laws than liberal laws in the deck. It's hard to explain over like a stream, but I highly recommend people play it because like it taught me a lot, oddly enough, from playing a board game about like fascism and liberalism and just like election and things like that. People, of course, are trying to be like, when you're a fascist, you're trying to like blend in with everybody. And then now you're trying to like convince other people that like, oh no, this person's a fascist. Like they passed a fascist bill. It's like, no, I didn't have a choice, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, well, then this person must be a fascist. So it's like, well, so it's like interesting that you're pointing the finger at people, and the entire time you're just trying to get Hitler elected. And like the liberals are out here, arguing with everybody because the liberals don't know who's liberal. The liberal doesn't know who's fascist either. They don't know who's Hitler. So the liberals are just like completely naive, while the fascists know who they are and who Hitler is. And Hitler knows who he is, but he doesn't know who anybody else is. So it's just like an interesting game. And it's just, it's interesting just to watch things unfold of people yelling at each other, and who the fascists are in the game, and you're just sitting there watching the mess unfold. Now, doesn't that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. There's actually a version of it where like instead of having like lizards and like pigs and stuff as the fascists, like there's like a version where you have like Donald Trump as Hitler. apparently there's like a version of that. So yeah, it's a good board game. I'm not like the biggest fan of board games, but that's just something that's like interesting to play and just to like kind of see, because you're just sitting there lying to everybody, and yeah, it taught me a lot. So yeah, Hitler was democratically elected.
Yes.
That's why it's important to, choose the right person. Also, one last thing, you are judged by the company you keep. And if all of your company left you and they're all saying the same things about you, then maybe you're the problem. With that said, y'all, sorry for dragging this on a little bit longer. Thank you all so much for coming on a Thursday night.
Right.
I hope you all have a great and interesting weekend. You can define interesting however you want. I just hope it intrigues you. Yeah, love you all. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great evening. Have a great day.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate you all.